Hey guys, Almost Addicted here, and today I'm going to give you 10 secrets on how to build like a pro in Minecraft. Now, you could be on PC, Java, Bedrock Edition, Minecraft Pocket Edition, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Wii U, Nintendo Switch, anything. It doesn't matter, all of these rules can still be used. Now, this is a Minecraft building guide, and at the very least, it'll teach you how to maybe think like a better builder. Now, you can grab your pen and paper, and you can write down points that you feel you need to focus on. Also, if you feel that I've missed anything, make sure you comment down below and talk amongst yourselves. Make friends with people in the comments, because you never know, you could learn something from some of the people in the comments, maybe if you start building with them or something like that. Now, Rome wasn't built in one day. It was built in like 1,009,401 days, which is equivalent to 1.1 years. Now that's like 1.1 years fully. So space that over 3 or 4 years, and I say you would have mastered Minecraft. Not necessarily, takes people a different time. Apparently Ed Sheeran, when he started singing, he couldn't sing, but he practiced and practiced, and that's what it's all about. Practicing until you get to a point where you feel you're comfortable with your building skills. Yeah, so if you feel like you've got anything from this, make sure you share it on Facebook or something, because you might make someone's day. You might even improve someone building. So without further ado, let's do this. Slap a like on the video if you do enjoy, and hopefully you get something from this. So number 1, knowing your color palettes. Now, I've put some color palettes out here for you guys, and I'm going to quickly explain over so you can get something from it. Now, maybe you want to go for a medieval style, so you could use the basic sort of oaks, and you can get some cobblestone, maybe some stone, maybe a little bit of spruce in there with some bushes and some trapdoors. Or maybe you could go for like a modern look where you've got the modern quartz, you've got the white concrete, maybe some grey concrete, a bit of a darker block, some black glass, white glass. Or you could try a different combination, maybe with the white, grey, and maybe add in a colour in there or something like that with some of the slabs. And also with the orange, you could maybe go for an orange, just a plain sort of orange look with the acacia, or maybe a sandstone desert sort of feel that you're going for, maybe with some dark oak, some spruce, maybe some of this and some sandstone. And maybe even if you want a rainbow house, you know, just knowing your colours, or going on colour charts that are on Google and stuff like that, and what colours kind of combine together. Like purple is the opposite of green, so they tend to go together quite well. And so maybe with the birch you could add like the different shades of the sandstone, maybe using the sand as well with the birch planks. Maybe if you want like a grey sort of look, maybe you could use these for floor patterns and stuff like that. Just combining different colours together and seeing what works. Now, it's not, all this is not necessarily going to work for everyone. Maybe some people have their preferences, and that's what it's all about. So like some diorite, some andesite, some gravel, as you can see, it all goes together quite well. Now, this was one of the very first houses that I did that looked quite well together, was quartz and some netherrack. Now, I made a pretty cool house. I used some of this as well with it, and I just felt it looked quite good. If you want to experiment with that sort of thing, that's probably quite a good thing to do. And maybe if you want some suburban sort of style houses, maybe you could use a stone brick. It seems to go together well with the greys, and maybe some black and white in there as well. That seems to go together quite well. Japanese as well. If you're going for a Japanese, obviously the traditional red and white, maybe some lily pads, and you've got just pure oak. Maybe if you just want to do a house out of pure oak, you could do that. You've got all these options. Maybe if you want to go for a scary house, you've got your cobwebs, maybe some darker oaks. If you want some windows that are in the yellow tint or a purple tint like that, make it stand out. Or like do some green slime underneath by just putting some green wool and then adding some green glass. You can make different options from that, like using redstone for blood, and then you've got hidden light behind here. It makes it look a luminous green, so that kind of shows up zombie heads, maybe some cobblestone, bushes, vines, different stuff like this. Maybe the cracked brick, and like different stair patterns in different ways to make walls look all cracked and stuff like that. So yeah, you could use that, but definitely using a color palette, and planning out your color palette first really does help you out. So we're going to go on to number 2 now. Hopefully you've got something from this. Now, number 2, testing your builds on paper or just planning it out, as you can see. Now, I've just done like simple floor plans. Even if you've got a small box one, sometimes it helps to put your box and maybe divide your rooms up. Maybe you want a little room for maybe your chests here and stuff, and you want something here. And as you can see, it's just getting more complex. Maybe you want like a pool area here. This is your entrance into the building, and then you could have a box like that. Or you could even go more complex, where you'd go and you'd have, maybe this was a suburban house or something like that. You've got your room, your entrance, and then at the side maybe you could have like a toilet there. You could have like a kitchen maybe coming around here. Maybe this could be the living room and a bedroom here. Maybe the living room goes on to like another little pantry room or something like that. So definitely putting out your floor plans really does help, and it really separates you from everybody else that's maybe designing their builds from scratch. So let's go on to number 3, which kind of ties in with this number 2. Number 3 will be framework and spacing. Now, a lot of pro builders use different coloured blocks to space out in between the builds where they want the build to go. So say that you were doing a landscape and you built a house here. Say that you've got your house here, but you were gonna lead some landscape around the house. So say this was at the bottom and you wanted another house up here. So what you would then do is use a different coloured block and slowly integrate it up where you would want your landscape. So basically you're planning your landscape first. So you'd want your house up there, so you would do some leading lines and stuff like that. They use different coloured walls, and they do that for separating the builds when they're doing the framework also. So say that you've done something like this, 1, and then you'd separate it with some spacing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you know it's 11 gaps in between that because you've put the green one. Maybe the green means 11 or something like that. So in between each one, you know you've got an odd number and even number. Now, the reason for that is for the roofs and stuff like that. So when you may be at the peak of your roof, we're going to go through some roof designs as well. You'll know if the roof maybe peaks up and you've got something like this, for instance. So say if it peaks up and it's an odd number, your roof would peak up like this, and then you would have your top, which would be 1. But if it was an even number, so say that we brought this green in like this, you would know that there's 2 here for it to be equal. Say if you had an equal line up here, this would join at the top like that, which would mean different roof spacings, different roof designs altogether. So definitely putting that sort of planning in first really does help you out. So maybe doing something like that for the top of the roof instead of just a 1. So I think spacing is very important. So when it comes to the framework, getting your framework down, so let's keep it with an odd number even. So we'll expand this, bring it back. And yeah, so for my framework, what I would do is work with boxes. So maybe you could make a box like this, and then you know that you want maybe the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gaps here. And then you know you got that odd number, say if you had another roof coming off here. So we can still use this framing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can put our logs there. Now obviously this would be more for like big huge builds. So you imagine you're working somewhere over here and you come back here. Instead of counting these blocks, you've already got these placement blocks, so you know. So obviously this would go over here. So for the framework, I would just try and build different blocks. So building blocks and joining them on in different areas, bringing them across and down, and you know, be very experimental with it. So say that you've got like that, you've got a house there, you could maybe put another box here coming off at this area, obviously pacing it out, and just getting your framework down first is very important when it comes to building a house. Now sticking to like a square box and stuff like that all the time doesn't always work, but doing something like this, maybe you'd want another box coming out from this area and have it joining on here, and then maybe that roof goes round, so you have a roof going round but maybe you have another box coming out here. So framework is very important to get down first, and kind of get inspiration off your build that you've already done. Maybe you think, oh well, we'll bring this down because it needs a little bit of support. And I think using structures as well to kind of make it seem like it's not just floating in the air half of the time really does help. So something like this, and keep adding to it and building it, and you'll give yourself inspiration as you go. So like something like this, and then get your framework here. Maybe you want a different height roof at this point, so you bring this across, and just adding all these different boxes at different sizes can give you a house that's very, very unique from everybody else's. So experimentation is the main key that I want you to get from this. And especially when you're doing your framework, you can do so much. But as you can see, that's not your average box house that you've got over there. But you could maybe have that room plan. So maybe you do it in a box area here, and then you can divide it off. So you could be like, oh, I'll put my floor plans down here. I'm wanting a kitchen in this area. So you can kind of tie it in with your framework. So I'll have a kitchen here. Maybe I want a door coming through here, so I'll do that in a different block just so I know for later. And then maybe I'll have a floor plan out here. I want maybe a conservatory coming out from this point, so I'll get all the floor panels, and you've got the framework at the top, so it all ties in together. So yeah, you can put your bathrooms, and you can really plan it out beforehand so you don't get stuck later on. And you can always add later on. Say that you've built the house and it's all done, and then you just think, oh, this bit's a bit plain, so you can start adding different structures to it. And that's how I do it. Just keep on going, and then eventually you'll come out with something nice. And don't be scared to like take risks. That's one of the main factors. So that's number 3. Let's go on to number 4. And number 4 is windows, doors, walls, and roof designs. So I'm going to show you some roof and walls and different designs that you could maybe use, you can maybe implement into your world. So I'll come back once I've got those all designed. Okay, so number 4, I've put out some designs for you. So obviously these are really simple designs, and obviously you can take those palettes and you can change them by getting some spruce and stuff like that and changing the corners, and you know, you can do whatever you want to them. But you've got your plain roof, you could maybe have like something like a little archway on, you could maybe add 2 archways on. There's so many different ways to make your roof versatile. And you can obviously have a bigger one, you can have one up at the top, you could change it like that, where you could have windows in your roof, you could have flat roofs, you could have circular roofs. It's just about experimenting with different types. Same with the windows as well, so instead of going for your plain window, this is just for kind of like a medieval sort of build. But obviously you do it with modern as well, so instead of doing the plain, maybe add some of this and some little window ledges as well. And then you could do this as well, so you can add like flowers in there. So getting your trapdoors, you can maybe have some bush, some flowers or something like that, using some of that. But yeah, you can get different bits and add different extras, maybe some slab across the top of the window, and maybe get some cobblestone. You know, just slowly adapting your build. Same with modern, just a normal modern one, and then maybe you could add like extra bits around here as well. It's all about experimentation if you're wanting to get better at Minecraft. So yeah, as you can see, I've got a bit of bush and stuff like that. Same with doorways, instead of just a simple door, just adding like a little balcony. There's so many different details that you can add. Obviously, if you've just come across my channel, I do a lot better builds than this. This is just kind of like the bare basics of how to progress. So number 5 is not being scared of making mistakes. Like, even if you're here, just commit to your mistakes. Sometimes it's worth it. Just keep going. Maybe if you take some out and then you're like, oh, I don't like that. So maybe you tried some cobblestone down here and you're like, oh, I don't know how that looks. I don't like how it looks. Just be brave. Don't be scared to make mistakes. I think that's what a lot of people are quite scared to do, is experiment on the build, taking blocks out. It's very vital to do that. So number 6 is learning how to be brave and build willing to make mistakes, which I've already said. And learning from your mistakes as well. I think learning from your mistakes is vital. So that comes in with 5 and 6, because I'll be honest with you, I'm running out of ideas. Number 7, not to be afraid to take inspiration from other people's builds, architects, and real architecture, by just purely going on Google and stuff like that and checking out builds and stuff like that. Don't be afraid to look at other people's builds and go, I like that little bit, I can adapt it and make it into my own. So maybe you might get inspiration from this little dome bit. Don't be afraid to take it, adapt it, make it your own. That's what Minecraft's all about. It's about sharing, caring, and all that other stuff. So number 9 is develop mind control. Now you're probably saying, develop what? Mind control? Well, I do this little technique before I go to bed, and it's basically you close your eyes and imagine like a build like this being made in a 3D form in your mind. So you could be like, oh, I'm going to use some oak here, but doing it in your mind, and imagine this build going like this. 360, so you can see all the way around your build. So while you're not building, you're building in your mind. And what this does is teaches your imagination how to imagine different parts of your build that you might not have necessarily built. So say if you've built it in your mind, you can then put it on a piece of paper and then make it yourself. And number 10, finally, is just practice. Practice, 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 practice. Practice makes perfect. So hopefully you got something from this video. I know it's just like the basic builds and stuff, but hopefully I've taught you how to think at least a little bit different. And then eventually you might be able to build builds like this. Now this build and this build and this build, all these builds I've built loads of them. So if you check out my channel, I've done a lot of build tutorials. If you've just come across my channel, make sure you subscribe. And yeah, I do block for block tutorials, I do fast tutorials where I kind of teach you like this. I do absolutely all sorts, so hopefully you got something from this at the very least. I'm almost addicted signing out. I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video. I usually just do block for block tutorials, but I thought I would give you some insight into how I think about things, and hopefully you got something from it. So I shall catch you in the next video. Bye!